Hey, what's going on? We're here in the next video of the Conquering the JavaScript interview series, where we're covering lots of algorithms and data structures to get you prepared to answer those interview questions. This is an ongoing series, so make sure to like, comment, subscribe, find this playlist on the Covalence channel, and follow me along this journey as I teach y'all the patterns and practices and things to do to, well, figure these questions out, right? It's all about making your own luck by preparing as much as you can and just waiting for your opportunity, right? Because that's what luck is, where preparation meets opportunity. So in a previous video, we covered how to reverse a string using a for loop, and I said that that was a really good foundation and a good thing to know how to do, and we're going to learn how to do it again here in this video. And I was debating on combining them into one video or splitting them apart, and I want to try and make this series a bit more piecemeal, like smaller size videos where possible, as a lot of my other videos tend to run really long, where I talk about things a lot. So I'm going to try and make these more concise and digestible. So this solution is not what I would probably go with right away in an interview setting. I would go with the previous video, which I'll try to make sure to link in the description below, where I used a for loop, because here we're going to be using some fun little tricks to get our solution instead. And these tricks will include some array and string methods, right? So just like the previous video that said we had to take a function that took a string argument and returned a reversed version of it, and we have the same examples as last time: reverse, hungrybox, and hullabaloo. So we're going to do the exact same thing, and we get to do so in a kind of fun manner. So one thing I wish to cover, let's go ahead and set up our string reverse function and pass in our first string, which is the string value reverse. You know, let's zoom in one level there. There we go. Okay, so we have our string value of reverse, no problem. I should probably turn autosave off, because I remember that was an issue last time. There we go. And we need to go ahead and get some work rolling here. So I'm going to, just like last time, we're going to make that reverse variable that's going to represent our reverse string once we get there. Hold on, because it's going to change here momentarily. And as y'all know, make sure to always include that return keyword right there when you're working on like a whiteboard or in a notepad if you're doing like a Zoom style interview. Remember, the point of these algorithms is they return a value. If you're on HackerRank or LeetCode or any number of websites that do challenge you in this way, y'all know that in order to test your function, it has to return a value out of it. But we're also going to be console logging this variable here so we can see our list of changes as we go, okay? So now that we got that going here, we actually need to do something with the string. So let's go ahead and do something with it. That argument, we're going to take that string, and we're actually going to be using a string method here called .split. Now, taking a look at what that does by itself, I'm going to provide no arguments to the split there. What does split do? Well, just by looking at its name, if you're not familiar, split, well, it sounds like it would split the string up somehow based on one or more, I don't know, well, I do know that y'all maybe don't, arguments. And just taking a look at the output of doing a split with nothing inside of it, it simply took the string and looks like it crammed it into an array, and that's all it did. Interesting, right? So what if we actually provide an argument to this split? Like, let's provide an empty string or something like that, right? And that's actually the solution we end up wanting to get, which is it takes a string value and it breaks it apart based on where you want to split this string. So if I provided like an argument like the letter E, the character E, it would split it around, well, the E's in the reverse. So we get R split at the E, V split at the E, and then RS, and then it looks like we got an empty one at the end there. Yeah, well, because there's a split at the very end of the E, so we got an empty element after that. But yeah, that's what it does. It will split a string based on where you want to split it. So like I do this a lot in my React projects, where if I have like content that needs to remember new lines and I need to build new paragraphs with line breaks between them, that's something you'll commonly see as well. But splitting a sentence, which will actually be something we're going to be covering in a future video, into an array of words, we split around the spaces, so we get each word as an element in an array. But that's what split does. It takes a string argument that dictates where you wish to split each next element of an array. If we provide no, or rather an empty string as an argument to split, it will return to us an array with each character, and that will include things like spaces, exclamation points, punctuation, stuff like that. It'll include those as elements, so keep that in mind. in an array. And with that in mind, we can now use an array method. So this represents an array of individual characters, which means we can then use the array method called reverse to, well, as you can see, reverse the output of the array right here. And with that array reversed, there is an array method that's kind of the corollary to the string method of split called, well, join. And join allows us to do the exact same thing a split does by, well, cramming it into a string right here. Basically, it concatenates all the elements of the array into a string. If we provide no argument, we see it took the commas of the array here, and what it ended up doing is it ended up putting the commas as the joined elements in the array there, right? In the outputted string there. So if I provide, just like I did with split, an empty string as the joining device, then it will give us the output we desire right here, which is actually what we need to return from this function, which means it's done. Now, I put it in a variable here, but you could just as easily just take this code and return it directly down here if you wanted to for the exact same output. That's fine. I did it as a variable because I personally like doing that, and this gave me an easy way to console log without having to do too much extra code around it. So like I said, I would call this a kind of a fun, cheesy method to show off that you know your string and array methods well enough to solve this algorithm very quickly. Maybe it'll get you a laugh in an interview room going, okay, cool, you know your methods, good job, man. I mean, it gets the job done, right? And maybe it gives you a discussion point with your interviewer where you kind of laugh and talk about these methods, and then you go and show them the previous video solution, which is the for loop solution, which is much more likely what you'd be writing in an interview setting. But hey, again, if it generates a conversation, you have a laugh with your interviewer, that's the more important part. So let's go ahead and make sure our outputs are looking good here. Yep, there she is, looking pretty good, Hungrybox. And hullabaloo, I thought that was just a funny word. Looks like it's working just fine. So yeah, this is another solution to do string reverse. And if you're wondering why should I learn multiple solutions, always be learning, man. That's the key here, right? If you know multiple ways of solving a singular problem, you'll know eventually how to optimize them or look for performance and things like that. Readability, maintainability, there's plenty of benefit to learning different ways of solving the same thing, because you never know when those things could help you. So yeah, that's it for this video. We've figured out another way to do string reverse, and then in the next part of this video series, we're actually going to see how this solution can help us, how these simple solutions can help us build up to solving a more complicated algorithm, and that's what this whole series boils down to. So again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and watch this playlist for more and future updates.